Okay, it's 8:02. I'm sorry. Let me just turn my mobile off as well. I was just chatting to Matt. He's a Matt. He's got a beard. He loves pain signs. Of course, I'm going to be late. How you doing? My apologies for going a bit late. It's all a bit hectic this time of night, isn't it? But I hope you can make it. Bath time. I think Matt at the moment, his kids are in the bath. He's just left them there, which I thought was a bit irresponsible because one of them's 1.5. But apparently they're okay for half an hour or so. But we won't bring that up because we're not judging on this. Let me just turn my mobile off here. Don't want that buzzing off. Right, okay, how you doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About at the Sports Therapy Association Open Group. Eventually, I'm thinking I've got to find out what would allow to go on Facebook. We need, like, I was thinking that Salt and Pepper song, that kind of jazzy Let's Talk About thing, maybe in the beginning. Right, and if you think that's not a good idea. But anyway, right, tonight, very important. I want to keep this snappy. So if you've got questions, and you see that me and Matt are just chatting about something and you're thinking, answer my questions, just write in the comments. Excuse me, say it out again, type it again. Because last week there was lots of questions and I didn't get through them all. So tonight is all about questions because that's what Let's Talk About is about. It's about you asking questions. That said, our guest tonight, Matt Scarsbrook, is going to have a load of information for you regarding what could be any topic, but tonight in particular is online consultations. So feel free to plow in with questions. If there's anything we say that you're not quite sure about or you want to discuss further. If Gary's in the house, then I'm sure we're going to be calling on Gary for a lot of legal stuff, or even Summer. Summer was on fire today in Facebook and putting out the government guidelines. So some of you around, that'd be great as well. So let me get rid of that. Yeah, you can type at the bottom. Just bear in mind, if I put your name up and it's just your name, Facebook user, and no picture, as far as I know, it's because you haven't clicked that link. Go through the posts of the STO Let's Talk About, and there's a link to give permission to the software we use. So that's why if you appear as Facebook user and not your lovely name and picture. In fact, what I could do, I'll put it here now. I'll put it in the links for you. Right, okay, so Matt Scarsbrook, what can I say? For me, he is the missing link, not because of his facial hair, but because he closes that gap wonderfully between soft tissue therapist and modern concepts and pain science, the whole world of people looking down on us humble sports therapists, thinking we're just masseuses. He's a great, everywhere I've seen him on now, and he's going to be a speaker at Therapy Live like myself. He just closes that gap. He's great to have in a room of physios because he's got the information and the knowledge and the presence and the ability to communicate, to show that it's not like a crowbar distance between massage therapists and sports therapists and physios. Not at all. So he's a wonderful speaker and a fountain of knowledge. So I'm very excited to bring him here today. With that introduction, I think that's big him up enough. Let's bring him up. And let's get that off. Matt, how are you feeling?
Slightly intimidated by my own introduction.
That's what I needed. You didn't shine too much tonight because you're already taking my name, you're taking my facial hair, you're getting a bit of a reputation. It's a bit like the young moving the older side. But no, thank you for joining us. Thank you very, very much.
No worries. No, thank you for having me.
Right, so online consultations tonight. Let's just check who's in the house. I'm sure there's a few familiar people. Let's get rid of that. Anna, do you know an Anna Maria Mazzieri? That seems a familiar name.
Yeah, to be honest, she jokes about being my second wife, but I genuinely, in the last couple of weeks, have spoken to her more than my actual wife.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for joining us. I've tried actually to get her on the show next week, but she ditched me. She said she was too busy. Yeah, I know. Turned me down. That's the first time in about 20 years a woman's turned me down. But no, understandable. Anna will be on the show. We will get her eventually because she's a fantastic information. And again, a missing link. You guys from kind of Bristol area seem to be missing links because Anna's in Bristol as well.
No, she's based down in Exmouth.
Exmouth. Oh, isn't there between the two?
Yeah, so the school HQ is Exmouth, and then we teach out Bristol as well. Just kind of welcome in.
So Anna, thanks for coming along. Glenn Murphy, how are you? Mark Nussey, welcome back. That's 3 times in a row. We're going to have to give you a badge or something. Facebook user, I don't know who you are. Maybe someone else does. Mike James is in here. Evening, legends. Evening to yourself, bearded legend. You're getting there. Sports Rehab Clinic, thanks for joining us. Gary's here. That's good news. Nice shirt, Matt Phillips. It's true. Hold on. Thank you, Danielle Elmore. It's this side, isn't it? Massaging the wrong. It's nice, isn't it? I like this so much. I've actually ordered some with my own logo on it because it's just a fruit of the loom. It's nice. Yeah, thanks. I hope I'm filling the spot okay. Anna Marie in there. And you don't answer my calls as my husband. Oh dear. You seem to have touched it.
Yeah.
Is that how you keep a keen? Play it mean.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just like, oh no.
Didn't think I had to do that, Italian girls. Anyway, we won't go there. Right. And Timothy Gregg, nice to meet you as well. Right. So online consultations. I'm hoping some people out there, one, maybe aren't doing it because they're a bit fearful, which we're going to talk about maybe to start off. Two, maybe you're doing it, but you're not getting the results. That'd be something interesting to let us know in the comments. And three, maybe you're doing it and you're having a fantastic time. You want to share the secret. Okay, so they're the three kind of areas which would be nice to have people from. Let's start with fear. Matt, in your experience, what do you think are some of the barriers to doing online consultation?
So because it's me, decided to turn to the research on this one. So yeah, what are the barriers to entry in terms of online consultation? Obviously, a few years ago, you could quite legitimately say access to technology, quite frankly, as a starting point. But that has definitely fallen way down the list, as has cost. You know, it's on the basis that a large number of people have smartphones now, and they usually come with some sort of free video calling app, then actually that barrier has been largely removed. So digging into the research, actually what was really interesting, even taking into account sort of aged populations and that kind of thing, the biggest barrier is the clinician. So while I was looking, I mentioned earlier, I had no idea there was actually a journal of telemedicine and telehealth. But I suppose if you write it, someone will publish it. So looking through that and some of the articles that have been written for that, telehealth is really highly regarded actually by the client populations that received it. But generally speaking, particularly in public health, it's usually set up as like a trial. It's being run just to kind of see how it goes. And most of them sort of fall over at the end of the trial because actually it's the clinicians who are hesitant to continue it. And I think that's where the fear comes in. I think there's a concern over, but I can't do my job properly if I can't get hands-on, or if I can't, you know, be in direct contact with the client. So again, kind of to look into that, there's some research that suggests that not only is telehealth regarded really positively by the clients, but sometimes actually they prefer it to the face-to-face. You can, I guess, draw assumptions on that one based on whether that's because they don't like to travel, or they don't want to have to, you know, that faff between leaving the house and getting back home again. They could just do a half-hour consultation online. But also, I think the clinician, it's a bit scary when you've got to change how you do things. But there is some great research that show that studies comparing groups, but also within groups, different practitioners looking at things like range of motion or swelling of an injury, or other physical characteristics of the client, are actually, you can get just as good a standard if you were doing it live than if you're doing it online. So in terms of your sort of objective assessment, yes, there are limitations, but there are far fewer limitations, and I think a few, people kind of worry about before they get stuck into it.
Yeah, definitely, I would agree. And I mean, if it makes anyone feel any better, I know it's like for you, Matt, but I remember we were talking to Jack Chu about imposter syndrome. I still get it now and again. Maybe it depends on the day, but I read the kind of like medical questionnaire, which we'll talk about in a sec. If someone sends it in, and I'm looking at this thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to help this person online. I'd like to do that. I want to do that. And so we get into it. I'm a little bit kind of shoulders up here. But once they talk and they tell you, again, it's all the case history, isn't it? They start telling you what they've done, what they haven't done. And you're thinking, you haven't done that? Oh, I can give you that. You're not looking at that? I can give you that. Really? And inside you, suddenly your shoulders just go, oh, I'm going to be a god to this person. I'm going to help so much, you know? It just happens. And that still happens with me. And it is a lovely sensation. So I wonder whether it depends a bit on the clinician and their practice. If it is somebody who really, to date, has only really believed that it's the hands-on which is sorting everything else, do you think they need a little bit of a read? And is there any sort of literature or something you would encourage them to read in order to give them more confidence that they could do just as much with their mouth as their hands?
Really? You want me to answer that question? Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so I'm going to quote my second wife here, because as you've probably picked up, she is quite a fan of the objective assessment, and I have to agree. The objective assessment, I think, whether you're face-to-face or whether you're online, is incredibly important. And let a client talk long enough, they'll tell you what the problem is, and they'll more than likely tell you what the solution is. You just have to be prepared to listen. So that, I think, is a huge part of the online stuff. And it's exactly as you say, I used to do it intentionally. I used to demand when I first started that I had the medical questionnaire back sort of 24 hours in advance of the appointment, so I could quickly kind of remind myself what it was that the shoulder did. And then I could sort of assess them. And that was in face-to-face stuff. But now I find that a vast majority of my online consultation is listening to them. I might get them to move around a bit, but it's listening to them. In terms of progressing to the point where you're confident you can help someone without getting hands-on, then, I mean, you could kind of go on the basis that the research says you can. If you don't want to go down that rabbit hole, then the research basically says you are as helpful to your client by talking to them and listening to them as you are with hands-on. If you want to go down the rabbit hole, then we just started in one of the massage forums that kicked off as a result of COVID, and so there's a whole group of massage therapists who have all got together to sort of support each other within that sort of area of the industry. Myself, Anna Maria, and Becky de Mulholton gave a presentation on evidence-based practice and pain science to that group last week, and that went down a storm because it allowed people to sort of start exploring this idea that perhaps there's more going on than changing the tissues. And if that's the case, then maybe we don't have to be hands-on with the client in order to be able to help them.
Good stuff. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's what sort of worry about, because I mean, I remember when I was all hands-on, when I freshly came out from kind of classical massage and Swedish massage, and you're taught the same things and you believe that all you're doing is you need to get those hands to do this, and you're doing all the stretching and stuff. And so there is a bit of an information gap really for somebody to be able to think, I'm going to fill this 45 minutes with something. Yeah. I mean, and I'm just aware of that. And if there are people in here, because the idea of this is to try and help people get onto that page and be able to provide the extra services you don't even know you've got, the skills you've got. But things like, following your blogs, sports injury fix. I mean, it sounds like I'm just going to pimp up people who I'm obviously work with and enjoy, but there's some great debates going on at the moment in these groups. In Sports Therapy Association, in the members group, there's some great debates going on. Sports Injury Fix, I've mentioned. They have kind of regular Wednesday get-togethers and things. Mm-hmm. The Therapy Live is going to have some great speakers. That would be a good opportunity for you on June the 26th. Do you know when your talk is, Matt, on that? Morning,
after the first break, it's sort of 10:30ish.
In the morning, good. Oh, I'm going to compete with you. That's good. Fine.
No, we're not on the same time. I
Matt in the morning.
Competing with someone, but,
Oh yeah, no, I know. It's. I think all the speakers were like, don't compete at the same time as blah 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 blah. But it's all worked out. So Therapy Live on the 26th would be a good introduction if you are a bit scared. It is a horrible area because you will get angry and you'll get scared. Would you imagine you haven't read Paul Ingram before, you haven't got into Greg Lehman, you haven't got into any of these people who kind of break the whole importance or relevance of pain science. They do eventually, you realize you're not throwing all of the bathwater out or the baby out with the bathwater, but it takes time and you will go through either fear or anger. Yeah. Have you got any particular favorite avenues of reading which helps people realize they've got other skills apart from their hands?
So taking Paul Ingram, for example, I think it's helpful that he is a former, as he highlights, massage therapist. And he does have an area on his site that's basically a don't panic. Massage is still cool. It's just not what we thought it was. My talk at Therapy Live, I'm still playing with the title, but it's essentially, is it time to rehab massage? Playing on this, has massage been pigeonholed into something it really doesn't fit, but yet it still has a place, and what might that place be? So that's kind of the premise of that talk. But I mean, like, as I say, this presentation we did to massage therapists the other day, and as I say, you know, where members of the STA, you know, sports therapists, they have the ability to provide rehab. They have the ability to provide strength and conditioning advice. They can get someone moving without being face to face. So, if anything, the level of intervention that they have, that they can transition online, albeit it takes a little bit of imagination to kind of communicate well if you're used to moving someone around or demoing to them, and perhaps you don't have the kit in front of you that you need to do. But as sports therapists, loads of stuff you can take online. For massage therapists who perhaps are more used to working in a spa environment, or are more used to using something like Reiki, or where kind of hands-on is the bit and there isn't the rehab section, then actually it can be quite intimidating to, and there are a lot of therapists out there who've gone, well, I can't get hands-on with people. There's kind of no point. I'll shut down and go and do something else for a while. So what we did in our presentation was kind of say, look, you are awesome. Don't panic. What you are providing is effectively 2/3 of evidence-based practice. Evidence-based practice being best research, clinical expertise, and client values. You are providing clinical expertise and client values in so much that you know your clients. So that's the expertise bit. And you listen to your clients. You know, these people who work in that field are fantastically caring individuals. You know, that's predominantly, I think, why they do that kind of work. And that is 2/3 of this evidence based practice. What we'd like to do is see a little bit more of the best evidence coming in, but it needs to be done in such a way that, yeah, you don't suddenly panic and go, oh my God, I've been wasting my life. I'm going to go off and, I don't know, become a business manager, which don't do, because that's where I was before, and this is where
that's brilliant. That's great advice. I mean, I was about to say that, but you beat me to it. People who are hands-on therapists, who enjoy hands-on, who are willing to spend all day rubbing some greasy body with oil, and whether they're hairy or not, you have got untold amounts of empathy and love for what you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do it. There's no coincidence. I'm generalizing a bit, but a lot of trade probably comes from physios who don't like doing massage. Why don't they like doing massage? Because they're totally got no empathy, physios. No, I'm joking. But because there is a certain amount of empathy and love for people and altruism, and you want to make someone feel better, which you've got inside you, which is what you're saying, Matt, isn't it? So if anything, when it comes to talking to somebody for 45 minutes, and like you say, getting to know them, listening well, picking up on things they've said, understanding kind of metaphors and language they use, which shows they're worried about certain things, whole lot of stuff you can offer in those 45 minutes. What about disclaimers? We had a little chat offline, but how's it going for insurance? How do you make sure you're not overstepping boundaries, that you're not giving wrong advice, that you're not missing red flags, that you're not going to get yourself into trouble? Because that's probably something that scares some therapists.
So the general advice is obviously check with your insurer. Now, we were talking, the key insurers out there have already acknowledged and already said that, yes, you can do online. An interesting question that you put to me, and actually I've got to hold my hands up and say I don't know, is whether they have a criteria for what has to be included in an online consultation for it to be covered by insurance. And obviously consent is one of the big things. Now, my approach so far has been to indicate in any emails that go out preceding the appointment, you know, the confirmation of appointment, make it as obvious as possible. This is an online appointment. Make it as obvious as possible that you're clicking on this link to join me in the online space is sort of ascertained that is your consent. You know, I'm not making you do that. And then obviously seeking consent for continuing the conversation as soon as they're in the room. And I suppose checking regularly, but in order to make it as, I'm going to use the word safe, but I don't think that's quite the right word, but safe as possible from an insurance perspective and from covering your back perspective. I think using that that communication before the session to make it very clear what will happen in the session, what won't happen in the session, and what the client needs to do in order to facilitate that. So, for example, there's no point them being, not that they would be at the moment, but there's no point them being in an office space with colleagues around them, because that's a clear breach of privacy, you know, and there's that, you can't control that, but the client can. So I think they need to understand that they need to be in a space where they are private, so that there's no issue there. I think they need to understand they need to be in a space where they can move without tripping over the kids' toys, the dog, whatever else, because again, the last thing you want is them going, oh, do that exercise, okay, and then they've added to the list of injuries. So I would use that, you know, again, clothing, if they've never done it before, shorts and t-shirt, that's what we want, you know, nothing more than, you know. So I would use that initial communication to literally state the ground rules. Be professional about it. I think people would take that quite well.
I think there was an interesting conversation going on about what to put in, because you might have to tweak your kind of PARQ a little bit, the form you send them, pre-consultation form, to take into account things like that, things which normally you would see or you do kind of visually. But there's, again, this is why start a thread off in the STA. What's your consultation form look like? What have you added? What have you changed? I'm sure there's probably people who are willing to share their consultation forms and stick them in the files, because it's all about sharing. People have good ideas about what to include, how to change, how to change the little dialogue at the bottom for them to actually kind of say, yep, I've read that and I'm happy with that.
I've seen some really good conversations on that, actually, to partly blow Sports Injury Fix's horn on that one. I think there was a great conversation a couple of weeks ago on, I think someone had posted that this is my consultation form, what do you think? And we're quite happy for people to, well, tell them what they thought, really.
That's good.
Some fantastic elements.
It shows the benefit of actually sharing and not kind of like thinking, oh, I can't show anybody my consultation form because one, they'll be embarrassed, or two, I've got something really good in it which no one else can see, because it's, forget that. You need to share and kind of learn.
I must admit, funny enough, that bit has come to mind as well, the competition element almost of this idea that, well, if suddenly you're online and you can provide online stuff, then the geographical barrier that sort of naturally occurs around a clinic is no longer there, and therefore are we all going to be competing over the same clients? And actually, I've not found that, and I think there are definitely people out there who are more well known in their areas. You know, Mike James, Joe Gibson was talking about it last night, I think, you know, who because of their international renown are getting a bit more out of area stuff. But actually, I think that the people who are seeking online consultations are the people who know you, and it's because they know you that they want to talk to you. You know, it's that continuation of that therapeutic alliance, as Anna-Maria like to say, that means that actually it's just another adjunct, another modality that you can use. And I think if you get it right, I think it will last post-COVID. You know, I think it will last post, you know, yes, we can see each other face to face whenever you want, but for this quick check on your rehab and for me to sort of modify your exercises, do it online.
Yeah. I think also it's worth to build up business, especially if you're sending them a recording. I mean, we'll have a quick chat in a second about software and what to use, but one of the things which I definitely do, because it cuts me out paperwork now, is the recording is what I send them. The recording has got everything on it. It's got them doing the exercises. I will pause in the recording and go, right, let's have a recap, because you're going to be looking at this tomorrow morning going, what did Matt say? And we'll just recap it over. And you can also get a certain amount of consent in the recording as well. All of the questions you're asking are there recorded. You've got that, so you're covering your back in lots of things. But also that recording is then something which that client can then show to someone else. You've got your own little commercial there, which other clients are quite happy if they wanted to show somebody else or send them and say, oh, look, this guy's really good. Oh, show him the recording he did. It's really thorough. You know, so remember that your recording is a bit like the first one you do is like a pea in the snow. It'll roll down and maybe people will share that and show it. And, you know, so you are your walking advertisement. So have faith in yourself and how you are and present yourselves. And yeah.
Well, we all need to get the Be Live TV app, don't we? So we can get our little, where is it?
So,
in the corner, yeah.
That's right. There it is. You can't see it. Well, no, I use Be Live because, well, no, actually for my recordings, let's talk a little bit about what to use software wise, and then I must go to the questions. But Zoom is obviously the most popular one. You use Zoom, do you?
Yeah, I'm using Zoom at the moment. I just joined the masses, and I know they got off to a rough, well, not got off to a rough start. It's been around a while, but it certainly wasn't the most secure. But Malcolm Sloan did quite a nice short piece on the fact that one of the upsides of using the same software as everyone else on the planet is that the company behind it have to get it right. So yeah, I use Zoom as my preference, and that's what goes out as an automatic link to my meeting room as part of the email out with a password, so I can obviously moderate who gets in and when.
So with Zoom, what's the deal? If it's under 45 minutes, then it's free, isn't it?
Under 40 minutes.
Under 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So you got to bear that in mind, and otherwise it just cuts off. So
yeah.
That's one thing to think about.
A 30-minute consultation is plenty. I have gone over on a few occasions, but it's usually because we've ended up nattering rather than actually talking anything sensible.
But if the time runs out, you can then set up a new meeting, continue it, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If they're out there, you just literally cancel, start again.
Okay.
And you can have up to 100 people in one meeting for free. So again, that's not going to be an issue. So actually, the free version of Zoom is fine. And my advice for anyone thinking of using it, if they're not already, is use the app, be that a desktop app or a phone or iPad app, and try and get your clients to do the same if they're going to be using it regularly. It's way more stable than running it in the web browser.
Good advice. So the free version's got everything you need. Is there anything you found out with the free one that you can't do apart from the time? People can just jump on that now? Yeah,
people can just jump on that. So the biggest issue we've found, and this is more related to the school stuff, is the time, is the number of people involved, and then the ability to do things like stream it live to Facebook, which obviously you wouldn't do with a consultation, but if you were using Zoom for other things, or to turn it into more of a webinar format rather than just a massive on screen.
Yeah.
So as I say, I've got the paid version, so I don't have a time limit issue. And when we've done webinars and stuff, we've paid to upgrade it. But
if you're not doing webinars and stuff, then the free version is kind of cool enough. But then people, I suppose, could do a Facebook Live, a private Facebook Live. Did you say you've done some of them for people?
I've done FaceTime.
FaceTime, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so I either do FaceTime if they've got Apple products and they are more comfortable with that, or WhatsApp video is the other one. So I have used Skype from time to time, but I've kind of ended up where I've been swayed by the marketing and I don't really use Skype anymore. But I've got it there if people want to use it. Okay,
so there's lots of free options out there. So software and expense is not a concern, and there's a lot of conversations about which ones to use. And can you record with Zoom? Free you can't, can you? Don't think you can.
I'd have to check on the free version.
I think that's one of the reasons why because I use Google. I mean, at college we teach with Google Classroom and everything, so I'm kind of Googled. So I do use, for the majority of people, Google Hangouts. But then that's because I've got Google Suite, so I can record it. So if you've got your own Gmail, if you're already paying £5 a month, so that your business address isn't jack@hotmail.com, if you're already paying for that G Suite, you can have your business at the end, which is definitely worthwhile because it looks much more professional than at hotmail.com. Then you'll automatically get the ability to use Google Hangouts for chat, and you can record it and send it. The other advantage of that is that because they're quite big files, you can't email them, but you don't have to. You just share that file with your clients via Google Drive. If the client's not got a Google Mail, it's free for them. All they've got to do is set up a G+ account. So I tend to send a little, just a PNG showing how to set themselves up a Google+. But that works for quite a few people. But then, like I was saying to you, some people have got their own way. They've got Zoom Professional for whatever reason, or they, so ask your clients.
That Mark has just responded, and I just did a quick Google as well. And so you can record free on Zoom. The difference is that on the free version, it records to your hard drive. On the paid for version, it sits up in the cloud. The Zoom host. Now, the upside of the cloud recordings, which again we've used for webinars and things, is you can just send a link to the client, so they don't have to download anything. You don't have to download anything. I don't even know how Zoom do it. I've downloaded from the cloud previously to do some editing on one of the videos, and it literally tripled in size in the file size. So I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, they do get very, very big. If you think you're going to email it, suddenly you see it's, especially with the 45 minutes, like a gigabyte and a half, and you're like, hey, hi. So anyway, right, so software really isn't a barrier, and you can progress as you get more want to be more professional and stuff like that. Let's right, question times. Was it 8:30? Yeah, 15-20 minutes of questions. Let's go through. I'm going to go back to the beginning because that's a good place to start. Let's get through the goodbyes. Let's have a look at Louise Archer, which is more of a comment than a question. But after each online video call, I send my clients an email summarizing advice I've given and the exercise prescribed. That's cool. That's probably the ideal. It's lovely. I only say that you do that, don't you? I just ran out of time. But then again, I do a lot of online consultations. So for me, it was a case of I've got kids screaming around me. I've got 4 that I'm supposed to be writing out. I just thought, I'm wasting time here. Let's just make the recording I send them done. It's got everything on it. So depends on you. Depends if you've got the time.
You care less about your clients. You're just a busy man.
It depends on the client. No, it just works really well. I enjoy it. It's been quite a big one for me because I don't like keeping people waiting. If you're going to do paper or email and you can get it out that day or the next day, fine. But if your lifestyle is such that 2 days have passed and every email's starting, sorry about the wait on this, been so busy, ha ha ha, kids going mad, clients are going to get tired of that and you'll see your repeat turnover just go down. So depends on your lifestyle. I was falling into that. I was running out of excuses and I thought this is silly. It looks unprofessional. So yeah, Louise, if it works for you, that's cool. It is very professional. I do like that. And you can put your branding at the top and all that sort of stuff. Let's have a look down. Blum, blum, blum. Somebody says, I've been through that panic. I don't know who that is. It might show up. Someone else might be able to see it. But whoever that is, try clicking the link. And the next time you join us, I'll be able to see your pretty face.
So I've just seen a comment, if I can jump in on that.
Which one?
I don't know if you've gone past it already, maybe. But Claire Hunter mentioned earlier that the elderly clients often needs reassurance and support. Don't have internet or mobile phones. I would say if you've got elderly clients who you feel would benefit from some form of contact, that because video isn't necessary. If you're working with someone who you've seen before and it's kind of like it's an in progress kind of consultation, video isn't necessary. So if they're open to it, then I would just give them a call on the phone and I'd get them to have a cup of tea and just natter to them about how things are going. If nothing else, particularly if they're elderly, it's probably a nice break for them.
Very good point.
And that way you can perhaps, if you need to, build up their confidence about going online with you. But certainly in the short term, just give them a call and just have a chat.
Very good point, Claire. And you can always do a 141 if you don't want your own mobile number to go out, and because they might be calling you every second. If you want to give your mobile out, sometimes that's bad news. But yeah, we do that at college, just 141 if you want to hide it. That's a good question, Claire. Yeah, we forget about the phone, don't we? Even Gary, Gary, the oracle of common sense, he left it. Oh no, that's the wrong one.
Wrong one.
Gary said, have they got a, what did Gary say? Oh, maybe they got a landline. Yeah, we forget about phones, don't we? Makes perfect sense, especially with older people. I've got a couple of clients at school, students at school who are blind. And we were trying to work out ways, or one of them's got 5% vision, and we're using all this software and try to zoom on the screen and getting in contact with St. Dunstan's and blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly it was like, just the phone? What's wrong with the phone? Just use the phone. And it was I felt so stupid at the end of it. We forget about it, don't we?
I'll tell you one thing, actually, just mention students. One thing I found really useful, and this just comes from the teaching perspective. So we've also got students still studying with us at the moment, and we've taken a lot of our teaching onto Zoom for the theory stuff, and we're planning on obviously catching up on all the hands-on stuff later. But an opportunity came up. A student was contacted by a client who was in a pretty bad way, and through quick conversation, essentially, we ended up doing a 3-way Zoom where I ran the consultation with the client and the student could observe. And it was, from a consent perspective, the client knew exactly who I was because the student had set it up. But then the student was allowed to stay in. It was almost like, people are always asking, can I come and sort of shadow you? Can I come and sit in the room while you do a treatment, this kind of thing? And that can feel a bit awkward sometimes for the client.
Yeah.
Often and whatever. But somehow in the online space, it felt really natural.
Very good.
And actually, so that went really, really well. And so we've had a couple of follow-ups as well with the client. It's basically it's a chronic pain issue, as opposed to, cleared of red flags and all that kind of stuff. But from a pain education perspective, for both the student to kind of get a feel for how I deliver that kind of information to a client, but also for the client to benefit from it at a time like this. That's been brilliant use of Zoom. So I thought I'd throw that in.
No, very good. No, it's made me start thinking, and that's good. So Gary here has confirmed that Balins have said it's acceptable to voice or video record consultation and disclaimers. You just have to make sure that, be aware of where you're storing files if you're recording and things like that. Very good points. Let's have a little look. Claire Hunt has just said one of my favorite expressions with my 3-year-old: sharing is caring. I don't know what the context of that was, but it's beautiful, Claire. Thank you. Sharing is caring, Daddy. Blum, blum, blum. Oh, Gary again is back with, there's a sample of consultation form in the file section of the STA members only 2020 benefits group. Not COVID compliant as yet, though.
And I've spotted, I think it was Catherine Rimmer, who had posted originally in the sports injury fix.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that, Catherine, actually, because like Matt said earlier, sometimes you got to be a little bit brave and just put it out there and go, critique me. And that was great.
It was really good. Yeah. Well done, Catherine. Big slap on the back. Not too heavy, but that was good. Yeah. More people should be doing that. I'm surprised more people aren't. But maybe people are fearful again, this whole kind of competition. Maybe it's the fear of looking stupid. I mean, that's naturally human, isn't it? Yeah. But that's what Sports Therapy Association and these other places are. It's like always in a class, never be afraid to ask the questions. There's going to be another 5 people who will go, oh God, I'm so glad they asked that question because I was dying to. It's always the same with sports therapy. Just ask it. La 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 la. Let's have a little sit down. I think there's only a time limit on Zoom if it's more than 2 people. I'm not sure about that. But I think they nip you with, I think the time thing throws a few people off. Louise Archer says, my clients prefer FaceTime and WhatsApp video. Are they okay and safe to use?
So to spin it, from my understanding, there is no reason to believe they're not. So WhatsApp is one of the most secure, from an encryption perspective, is one of the most secure communication platforms that we've got. There are a couple of others, but WhatsApp is pretty high up there. FaceTime, it's all within the Apple infrastructure, and Apple are somewhat famous for their privacy and data access stuff. So put it this way, I personally have no reason to believe they're not safe to use. You can obviously check and make sure, but
yeah, I would agree totally with that. Big companies, they can't afford to have anything leak out. There's too much to lose. Yes, you can record on Zoom files. Thanks, Matt. Thank you, Louise. Any other questions in there?
No, it looks like Becky's is one of our mystery.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, Becky, yeah. I just like a chance to show everybody your face, Becky. Come on, get on with it. Fine, okay. Oh, and Gary just put that up there. I will be announcing the winners of the free membership prize draw after this chat. It's true.
Absolutely.
It's true. And I think he then says, what about... Gary's got a question there. What about those who fear of looking unprofessional in their videos?
Could you look more unprofessional?
I didn't say that. No, there is little tricks. I had a chat with Mike on Sports Injury Fix about that, actually, about little things you can do to make your video look a bit more professional. In terms of software, I think the cam can make a big difference. I don't know what cam you are using, Matt. Is that your inbuilt laptop cam, or is it is it? Yeah. It's quite nice.
It's not bad,
good.
But
yeah. Depends on the room you're in and lighting, but you can, if you get I'll tell you what I do recommend, because if I'm showing someone an exercise and I don't want them to look at my trouser leg or something, it's a bit difficult with the laptop. But if you've got a mobile cam like this, you can put this anywhere in your room and kind of move it and adjust it, and it's kind of quite useful for online consultations. So if you get a USB plug-in, I use a Logitech, let's have a look, hold on, HB I can't see what it says anymore. I'll put a link to it. But yeah, and also it allows you to adjust lighting. So depending on the time of day you're using it, I'm always a big up for spending in it secondhand. It's quite used a lot for gaming, but a movable cam is a good bet. Again, if you haven't got the money, you don't have to, but you can adjust the lighting, you can adjust the contrast, you can even sometimes get rid of what's behind you if you really want to do that. Same goes to microphone. Are you just using your laptop microphone?
Well, so yeah, I was going to be using this, but actually, although it's plugged in, it's not working. So yeah, at the moment it's just a laptop microphone, and that's all I'd use normally. I mean, I've got like a Rode mic that I use for filming and stuff, but I don't bother for.
Don't have to do it. Okay. So again, you can get by without it. Yeah. But again, it'll depend on your laptop. I mean, you can test it out. If you happen to be able to get your hands on a mic, again, I'm using again just a USB one. Mm. So it plugs in, it's got gain control, so you can adjust your volume, especially if you're recording it, you don't want it to come back with a load. It depends. I mean, it depends on how much you want to do. I think it makes a bit of a difference if you're doing a lot of them and you want to just sound that little bit better than other people. And
I think there's a few sort of really easy bits as well. Particularly if you've never done any filming of any kind, or you know, and you just want to do this with clients. Some stuff like don't sit with the window behind you. Mm-hmm. For example, you know, you do that because the light falls on your keyboard and so you can see what you're doing, but actually it just bleaches everything and your client can't see you properly. So there's a brilliant cartoon I saw floating around on Facebook probably recently, which was, you know, tidying the house for Zoom. And basically it's just all the clutter to one side, which is essentially what I've done this evening. There was a reason the camera is angled as it is.
Have you though? What's hanging on the back of your door? It looks like a partridge or something.
No, that's actually my wife's bouquet from.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it doesn't look like a partridge. It's like a beautiful wedding bouquet.
It totally does look like a partridge. And to be fair, it's about as dead as one at the moment. But no, the rest of the crap on this side. Bowl of strawberries, anyone? Honestly, you don't want to see what I had to push out of the way this evening to make it look professional. So. Yeah, professional is an illusion.
There we go. Wait, I'm just sitting on these at the moment. I've been dying to move them.
Amazing. But yeah, I think, as I say, you know, set the camera up, have a look, have a plan about where you might move to if you're showing someone some exercises. But beyond that, it's you they want to see. They're not really looking in your house that much. Any bread making? Yes, I've done a fair amount of bread making on my Zoom calls, but I've not done any this evening, and not actually while with clients.
Sometimes I think Mike James does this, I do this. Having books behind you has got something to it. Just having a row of books, and you probably, as a sports therapist, you've got a few years under your belt, you've probably got a few books. Somebody might not want to put out there anymore, but even during online consultations, sometimes having that muscle anatomy book, or having that, just when there's nothing wrong with grabbing a book off your shelf and having a little look through it, or nothing that's really nice. So I recommend this book. Get this book by so-and-so. It's really good. It just makes you look learned. I find that's quite useful. Have them at hand. Use props around you. Have your TheraBands near you so you can show stuff. Make sure if you are going to show them, I don't know, a side plank or something, you've got room, or you've got a chair, you just progress it or something. Just saying all these things up. But again, that comes after your second or third go, doesn't it? You just think, oh my God, I must remember to wear boxer shorts next time, or I must remember to. These things just happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And fun enough as well, things like if you've got common equipment, it's less of an issue now that people are allowed outside again to a certain extent. But if you've got common equipment that you think would be useful for people to maybe purchase themselves to use at home for any of the rehab stuff, find a couple of links on the internet that you're happy with in terms of value and quality and stuff, and then you can use just have them to hand and send them through the chat function, and then you can discuss with the client, okay, go and buy these, you know, it's a set of 5 small TheraBand loops, and we'll work up through them doing your shoulder rehab or whatever. Again, it looks prepared. It's like the book's behind you. It looks like you've come, like you know what you're doing, I suppose.
I think people are fearful of it, but I mean, are you fearful when you open your clinic door and someone walks in? No, you thought about it, haven't you? If someone walked into your clinic and you've got kind of washing in the corner, you know, or plates in the sink, you already naturally you're going to have that eye. So just treat your room as that. You can do as much or as little as you want to, but like Matt says, it's about you at the end of the day, which you have to think about sometimes. I mean, hair products and moisturizers and beard balms, brightonbeardcompany.co.uk. Oh, look at you. That was unintentional. Oh, nice one, Matt. No wonder it's looking so good. Did you use RCL 15? Is that the lemon and coriander one? That's amazing. Well done. But yeah, it's all gone up. People are using a lot more products as well, because especially if they're doing online stuff and working. I'm tying myself up more every morning than I used to when I used to go to college, because I've got online stuff the whole time. Lunchtime comes and I'm looking tired and shattered again, and I'm a bit of that and that, and just comb myself. And so you may well be spending a little bit more money, I'm saying, on accessories, just to make sure you don't come across as tired and hair all over the place. And but yeah, I mean, if that's the least of your worries, of spending a bit of money on. But if you are going to buy a beard balm, then brightonbeardcompany.co.uk. Right, let's have a look. Where are we? 2047. What's this about making bread? Do you make bread then, do you, Matt?
Yeah, so I accidentally attended one of Mike's Zoom sessions with a couple of other therapists. I think it was from the SIF site. And I was kneading bread at the time, and had it slightly ripped out of me that as a manual therapist, I needed something to keep my hands busy during lockdown. So it's really a bit of a thing, because I actually did just start during lockdown, but it wasn't necessarily for the workout. It was because I like the bread.
That is funny. That's fine. That's good. Doing a bit for manual therapy. It's great.
Really? Like I think Chris Kitson has demanded that I'm baking bread on the next one as well.
I missed that. Matt P was, what was that? Matt P was on the call. I was there, wasn't I? I don't remember the bread.
Did you not see that?
Was that the one where we were in the garden?
You were in the garden.
So I was in the garden. You were all in my garden. I get confused with virtual and.
Yeah, and I think you were juggling the kids at the time.
I was juggling the kids, the little brats. Right, let's go with that. Are the hair products tax deductible items? No, but if you use the code RCL15, then you will get 15% of any product at www.brightonbeardcompany.co.uk. There you go, Mark. Right. We're running out of time. Anything else we need? Hopefully we have installed a little bit of faith. I think a lot of people in here, quite a few people I think are doing it already. If you do think that the content of this would help other people, younger therapists or people who are a bit nervous, then make sure you do share it or get them to come along. Hopefully myself and Matt have given you a little bit of confidence or a bit of information there. If it's any legal stuff, then Gary's your man, as always. If anyone's not sure about what to do, then make sure they know that they can approach Gary, who is available 24/7. Is that right, Gary? No, but he will definitely get back to you. When I say 24/7, I mean you will call, will never get unanswered. Somebody will get back to you eventually. And it's normally within 10 minutes. Right, Matt, anything you want to close on with regards to online consultation? Any other, you've given out so many gems tonight, but anything else? Words of wisdom?
Enjoy it. You know, we've got to enjoy what we're doing at the moment. And you know, some people have been worried that they're sort of out of touch with what they do in the clinic, and enjoy it. Get online, chat to your clients. If nothing more than have a cup of tea over Zoom with them and see what comes up. That'll do. Other than Physio Matters podcast tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Come and listen to a bunch of us talk about physical therapy.
What's that? I missed that. What's tomorrow night?
It's the. Has he not publicised it? He probably hasn't publicised it.
I've had a busy day.
No, I don't think it's gone out yet. But like you did the forum chat.
Oh, to do with Therapy Live, is it?
Therapy Live, that's the word.
Oh, another Therapy Live one. Yeah.
Therapy Live thing. So the bunch of us who are in physical therapies will be on tomorrow night. Yeah. Using that. So
do make sure. We always presume that everyone knows about Therapy Live. We did see Jack Chu a couple of weeks ago on this. I think it was 2 weeks ago. But yeah, that's on June the 26th, which is a Friday, I think, where both Matt are talking on it. But there's going to be a lot of other speakers, about 90 or so. Put that Friday aside, the 26th, if you can. You can have a whole day of free CPD, and it will definitely help boost your confidence. There'll be more nodding than shaking, I'm sure, as you see all the speakers. All right, then. I think that is about it, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Don't go anywhere, because I'm just going to finish off by just letting people know next week we've got an interesting one. I'm actually looking for a couple of people who want to come on cam as well. Becky, is Becky still in the room?
I hope so.
Becky's definitely coming along, isn't she, Becky? And we're going to be talking about going back to work in COVID-19. How soon should it be? What's the kind of law saying at the moment? Are you above the law? When will it be? When will you be able to go back? What sort of precautions do you need? Lots of discussions. Hopefully there'll be a lot of fact checking as well. Becky's going to be on it. I want people talking about coming on cam. I want 2 people to actually step up and come up next week as well. If you're confident and you want to talk about what you're doing to go back to work again, what precautions you're taking, or whether you have got any strong beliefs on it. Not if you've got questions. This is where you're going to be given some time to share your experience. Then let me know. Matt@sta.co.uk. Yeah, I think that's right, isn't it? Or even just through here, just let me know. Because we can have 3 people on the screen for that. So next week, the opportunity is still for 2 of you to come up, talk about your business, which is always nice, networking, and let us know where you are in terms with going back to work. And then be prepared to receive some interesting comments probably from the rest of the room, from everybody, because there's going to be there's no yay or nay. Well, there is kind of a yay or nay depending on time issue, but how and why and when, it's all very speculation, isn't it? It's changing every day. So that's going to be next week.
Yeah, and one of the things Becky's really good at talking about, if you fall into the camp of sort of the anxiety caused around all the uncertainty as well.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that as well. People are feeling pressured, aren't
you're
they?
sitting there thinking, oh, I've no idea, this is too scary. She's good on that.
Good. No, I'm looking forward to it. Be good. And then to finish off, let's finish off on some great blockbusting news. The winners of the prize draw are Becky Carroll, Carl Mahoney, Danielle Chandler. Right, how much is Gary giving out? This is way too much. I thought it was 2. I'll start again. Becky Carroll, Carl Mahoney, Danielle Chandler, Ryan Smith, and Lucy Meakin. Oh, Lucy got in. That's nice. Lucy's from Brighton. I don't think I've met her, but well done, Lucy. So there you go. Well done. Congratulations, you all. Gary, if you can be around next week, then I need you, mate, both for security with your huge frame and also to give us a lowdown on some legislation would be great as well. Or just send Summer in because, she can handle the room as well. Right. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Matt. Very nice for you to give up your time. If people want to contact you, Matt, where are you best contactable?
Matt@therapy-evolved.co.uk if you want to talk clinic, or matt@thestschool.co.uk if you want to talk level 5 soft tissue therapy.
There you go. Right, people. Thanks very much as always for joining us, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Take care and
Cheers.
stay safe. Bye-bye.